As I said, I'm Edward from Chelton Brown. Chelton Brown are a Northampton-based or Northamptonshire-based lettings, property management and estate agent. We look after around about 1,500 in the area. We've been in business for 30 plus years, so we like to think we are quite good at what we do. I'm not going to talk too much about Chelton Brown as a company, regardless of our Rightmove stats, because no one cares about that but me and my mum. So what I'm going to try and do is be informative and cover some of the hottest topics in lettings at the moment. So first thing, stamp duty. As touched on a minute ago in the fantastic mortgage update, this is mainly going to affect people that are moving to a house of main residence. They're going to be the benefit up to 500,000. They won't pay any stamp duty. What we will see is that any stamp duty paid by investors will only be at 3% rather than the total amount. So this should hopefully generate some interest from investors. Depending on where you are in the country, there's fantastic opportunities, and it's only going to make the numbers look better come time to cash in. So hopefully going to do a great deal of good to the property market, get things moving. We have seen a bit of a boom, or a mini boom anyway, since we've come out of lockdown, and long may that continue. Secondly, EICR. So I touched on this last time I was here. Electrical checks for properties to make sure they are safely wired up. Should have been something that was a legal requirement a long time ago, in my opinion. That came into play at the 1st of July for all new tenancies or renewals. So if you are having a change of tenant or renewing a contract, you will need an EICR in place. That said, if your current tenant is staying, be it on a periodic or a fixed term basis, by April 2021, you will need an EICR anyway. A standard EICR we're seeing in Northamptonshire costs around about £120. The expensive part we found is actually coming in on the remedial work. So some properties that we considered would be more or less up to standard are actually having to have a lot more electrical work done than we were sort of initially planning. So I guess my point to this is if you are looking at investing and get yourself a proper survey done, get the electrics checked before you do make the purchase. Make sure it's not going to cost you more than you anticipated, because ultimately, until you've got one, you can't get a tenant in and you can't get a return on your investment. So certainly something to check out. How to rent guide. I'm going to cover off what a how to rent guide is. If you're serving any notice or creating a new tenancy, a how to rent guide needs to be served. These are part of the prescribed information. All of this needs to be downloaded directly from the government website. Now, what I would say is do not do what one of our tenant find only landlords did and save a copy to your desktop and just see that as gospel. I went through a pack of documents he gives out to his tenants at renewals. We've not found a new tenant for them for a little while. He had a how to rent guide in there from about 2 years ago, which is completely out of date. And if any of his tenants were to dispute anything, should it go to court, the notices wouldn't stand. So message here, make sure you're downloading the relevant and newest how to rent guide off the government website each time. Make sure you're following sort of industry press to sort of check if it does update. But best practice, if there ever is a need to serve a document or a notice, make sure you're checking directly on the government website. The next point, if it loads, what's going on here? How to rent. So how not to work with letting agents. I love how to rent. How to rent can work fantastically for so many people. We've had landlords that have worked with us that have put stuff on to investors that have looked after it on a rent-to-rent basis, and it's gone fantastically well. But I do want to put a word of caution out there. We've had experience recently of an investor that's gone direct to vendor, absolutely fine, no problems with that. As a result, the vendor has gone forward on a rent guarantee basis. The quality of tenant that's been put in there is not up to standard, not someone that we'd have recommended. Their exit strategy meant that in the next year or so, they would be looking to sell. Unfortunately, the types of tenants that have been put on there off the back of a rent-to-rent agreement completely trashed the building. He's now stuck with a property that, just can't sell. The agreement's ended and it's left him in a right pickle. So if you're doing it, do it for the right reasons. Make sure you're doing the due diligence. And I'm sure everyone on this call, is not going to be in that position. But yeah, as I say, make sure you're checking everyone out you're working with and don't leave yourself in a compromised position. So what can we offer you? Well, I just thought I'd say we've created a hot investment property list that is running up and down the country. We work with 800 other letting agents across the UK. Get in touch, happy to put you on our investor list. Investors newsletter, similar sort of stuff. We're sending this out to people that manage their own properties, making sure we keep them compliant. And that sort of all links into our YouTube channel, where we talk about latest compliance updates and making sure you're on the button. So that's me. Thank you very much. Lovely to be here again. If you do have any questions, give me a shout or drop a comment in the box below. Thanks very much.